Sorry, we'll move on. I'm Paul Hammond. You're listening to UCB One. It's Talking Point, and I'm pleased to say that joining me now here in the studio to tell us about the wonders that will be at CRE, the Christian Resources Exhibition this year, is Steve Goddard. He is the man behind it. He is the owner of the idea, and he has come to talk to us about it. The big question on everybody's mind this morning, Steve, is will there be ice cream donuts available?
My goodness, what a first question. And thank goodness I have nothing to do with the catering there. That is all handled by the Sandown Park, who are used to punters, of course, who go racing. And I would imagine that donuts is very much part of their diet.
I would imagine so. Yeah, donut by the cook. I've never been, but I would imagine that. Well, I don't know. Maybe we should step away.
Well, maybe you should put a bet on it as we go to Sandown Park.
Hey, it's good to see you. How are you keeping?
Well, very good morning to you.
And to you. And we know your name from a few places over the years. As Steve was reminiscing, Buzz Magazine. You were connected with that,
yes,
weren't you?
I was. More than connected. In fact, I go back further than that because I recorded an album for Kingsway Music as an artist called Waiting for Goddard.
Very clever.
Thank you.
Yes, very clever.
As a result of that, I got to know a lot of people and I started to write articles and things as well as doing music. And I ended up being asked by Buzz Magazine, which of course is now Christianity Magazine. It's sort of evolved into that, to become editor. I did that for about 7 or 8 years. And then I went into my own PR consultancy. And did a number of work for loads of organisations promoting things. Became co-editor of shipofools.com.
I knew that you had a connection with Ship of Fools.
Absolutely.
Yes, the old nodding Jesus.
Indeed. Well, mystery worshippers as well.
Yes,
we send out mystery worshippers to churches to analyse the hardness of pews and the length of sermons and the coldness of the coffee afterwards.
And was there another thing where the only way a church knew it had a mystery worshipper, although, let's be honest, in a lot of churches were so small that any new face is immediately recognised as a new face. But the only way we knew that was a little card that was left in the collection plate.
In the collection plate. It says, you have been visited by the mystery worshipper. Read a review of this service on www.shipofools.com.
I bet there were more than a few ministers who picked that card out and went, oh no!
They certainly did, but some of them actually put the reviews up on notice boards afterwards and said things like, we must do better.
And it was, I think an awful lot of Ship of Fools stuff was poking fun at some of the nonsense that there is around church life. But that in particular really did have a serious edge to just give church the opportunity to see with fresh eyes how welcoming and how accessible our services can be.
I think it's had a good effect. I'm not claiming anything massive. It was a lot of fun, and it was also, but it had underneath it, I think, many a true word spoken in jest.
Yes.
And really Ship of Fools was about that, was taking the lid off things, but there was the theological discussions that result from a mystery worship kind of report.
Yes.
All about the style of worship and the nature and the content of sermons. I mean, and it spins off into a community, and Ship of Fools is really now an online community rather than a web zine.
Yes. So you have moved now to take over CRE, which has been going for a little while, and I wonder if the same sort of vision and ethos that drove you with Ship of Fools to do things like Mystery Worshipper and to get the church looking at itself. I wonder if that same sort of vision is what drives you with CRE.
Well, I've worked with CRE since 1987. I mean, Margaret Thatcher was still PM when I did my first a piece of work with the exhibition, and I've been retained virtually every year since. And it's only now that I kind of come into the hot seat.
Yes.
So I've been promoting the exhibition. The original owner, Gospatrick Hume, who created the concept. And in fact, it was through doing other exhibitions and secular exhibitions, like the research show, which I came across Mystery Shopper. And it was only a play on words that turned that into Mystery Worshipper.
Yes, of course.
So actually, the kind of concept of research and analysis and putting the best practice is part of every exhibition. And so I've learnt a lot from that background as well. And now's an opportunity to, yes, bring a bit of humour, a little bit of irreverence. There's nothing wrong with that as long as it doesn't go too far.
Well, let's be honest, you've invited us to come along, so that's bound to be a given, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. But I think at the core of it is the opportunity for churches to come and discover and go on a voyage of discovery. And I think that's what we need, once a year in particular, is to go and find out what everybody else is doing, not just be stuck in our small corners.
Yes, because that's it. Our vision can become very focused and our view can become very narrow, can't it, about what we are doing. And then you go along to something like that. And we came to the one last year in Birmingham, and you go along to it and you see the different ideas, even if you don't directly connect with that for your locality, it can spark and inspire ideas that will work for your place.
And don't forget that UCB has a history in America with CRE, a very important piece of history. Do you know it?
I do indeed. It was at CRE where the connection with Bob Gass and UCB was first established.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so it is actually about connections.
I'm glad I swatted up on that.
Do you see? He wasn't ready for that one, but I threw that one in. That was not primed.
That's where Ian Mackey met Bob, wasn't it? And where the whole sort of connection started. Yeah. So let's think for a moment then about what's going on. This year you've got, if people want to find out more, creonline.co.uk, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. creonline.co.uk, and have a look at that. You've got Dana opening the show this year. Is she going to be singing?
She is.
All kinds of everything. All that.
For all kinds of church.
Yeah, very clever. Very clever. But so it's a broad, I think it's a broad church, isn't it, CRE? I mean, because there's everything there, and there are some things which might be considered a little quirky in some corners, and some things that would be considered mainstream. How do you make it available to people? What's your criteria for people getting involved?
Well, it's about something that is genuinely beneficial for churches, but it could be something as basic as decent roofing. Something about pews or good quality lecterns, new lecterns. So it's hardware as well as it is resources that we understand more in connection with church and with Bibles and hymn books and music. So you've got such a range. Every church is a building. And what happens underneath that with people is important as well. So you start with the roof, as I said, and then you work down.
Yeah.
So it can be stained glass manufacturers who may not be particularly religious. Let's be honest about it. Not everybody in the show there would own a certain statement of faith. But what we want to do is say, well, look, they still have a value to church life. And who knows? There have been people who've been converted through coming on stands that have nothing that they think anything to do. They don't have nothing to do with this church business. We just sell chairs. But actually, the sheer atmosphere of this event is so good and so friendly that they've been, what is it all about? And so that, I think, is great. It's also at Sandown Park. They love having us there. All the stewards all sign up to be at a CRE because it's such a friendly crew coming in. So there's something much more than just selling product all the time.
And that is very important, I think, and not just CRE, but so many of these events. The same with Big Church Day Out, and it's the same. I mean, last weekend at the Emirates Stadium, where J. John was just won. So many of the staff were saying that it's been such a pleasure working with the people coming in and out and so on. It just brings a different sort of atmosphere, different ethos. From your point of view, and we're going to talk about what's actually there and who's there, and you've got some interesting names there this year, because it's not just about resources; it's also about entertaining and encouraging people in their faith and seminars and all that sort of thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But from your point of view, as the boss, looking out over this event that's going to happen, when we get to November, December, and you look back on it, what for you is going to have made it a success? I mean, obviously, if you can pay your bills, that'd help. But what's going to have made it a success for you in terms of its impact for the Christians that come along?
I think it's got to come down to individual little discoveries, because it's not just about the big picture. It's the little picture. It's the little discovery. It's the thing that turns the key to changing one thing within the program of that church, one resource that is bought that is at a decent price, as opposed to buying blind. I mean, people talk these days about, oh, you can get everything online these days. Yes, but nothing actually beats sitting on the chair and making sure it's comfortable. Nothing beats trying that fair trade coffee, which is on offer, rather than just buying it blind, as I say.
Yeah.
So I think the real issue, what is great, is when you have people leaving the exhibition saying, well, we got that set of chairs that we're looking for. We've got that resource for the Bible for the youth group. We've discovered that one idea that we could revolutionise one part of our programme. That's really exciting. Of course we want it to pay its way. It needs to do that. We're in a big venue. It's an impressive venue, and so therefore it costs a lot of money to stage. But the little examples of success are fabulous.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about what's going to happen this year as CRE, the Christian Resources Exhibition, comes to Sandown Park from the 17th to the 19th of October. First question we're going to be asking is, who's it for? And you may well find it's for you. And maybe it's time to make plans. Maybe your church would benefit. Maybe you could go and represent a whole group of churches in your community. We'll find out more after this from Liz Weiss.
We are the ones who sinned, enslaved from within, but you save, hallelujah. Redemption in your hands, and faith from blood that ran. Oh Jesus, you're truth. Simply put your life for us. I sin upon you, broke your heart. Oh, you saw the
Liz Weiss and Truly Today. You're listening to UCB. My guest right now is Steve Goddard. Steve is the driving force behind this year's CRE. Sandown Park from the 17th to the 19th of October. Talking Point is going to be there. We're there on the Wednesday. We will be presenting live from Sandown Park. So if you're there, make sure you come along and say hi. I think I've got a feeling that we've been pitched just outside the cafe, haven't we?
Right in the busy period and busy place.
Excellent.
So you'll be right in the midst of it all. And
Lovely.
if you want a bit of actuality and a bit of buzz in the background, it'll be there.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to that. And as I say, that's 17th to 19th. So I suggested a question at the end of our previous session and said, who's this for? Because is it just for church leaders, vicars, and procurement officers, whatever they call themselves these days? And is it just for the people who are buying the stuff that the church needs?
Well, the funny thing is, if you were talking in exhibition speak, right, and there is such a thing as exhibition parlance,
Right.
it would be called a prosumer show.
Okay.
Okay, there you are. There's
Not
one
a
to
clue
jot
what that
down. Put it on
means.
that. Jot it down there.
Yes, okay.
Prosumer, kind of half professional, half consumer. What that means is that half of the people who come might be full-time church leaders,
Yes.
in some way. And then on the other hand,
They're looking a new set of vestments
Correct.
or communion glasses
that's
or
right.
whatever, yeah.
When we say that full time, they might actually have a position of responsibility in the church on a spare time basis. Youth leader, mums and tots leader, that kind of thing. On the other hand, there is a consumer aspect to it. So people come for a personal reason to find, for example, in mid-October, stock up for Christmas. I mean, gifts that you can get for people there, which you won't be able to find in the ordinary shops. So they come for consumable personal goods. So what you've got is an awful lot of people who come, and I've looked at the list, we've got about well over 400 people already coming, right from, we've only just launched effectively. And the number of people who have a position of responsibility, I would say, is about 90%.
So do you have to register to come along?
It's easier. You don't have to. It's easier if you do register, and it is cheaper.
Okie dokie.
So if you register online, go on to www.creonline.co.uk. There's a click button there for book tickets, and it will cost you £8 on the door. If you register early, it will just be £4. So it's a 50% saving.
Ah, right, okay.
If 3 of you come as a group, it's only £3 each. So
okay.
you'll see all that information.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there. And so you can register right now by going to creonline.co.uk. You've got some interesting, I mean, you have got, you've got the vestments, you've got the communion glasses, you've got the technology stuff, so microphones and how to build your own website and so on. You've also got stuff about mission and, as you said, church buildings and all that, but you've also got stuff about mission and stuff for youth work, family work, worship, all that sort of stuff. It's all there, as we might expect. And excellent range of stuff that's been there. I was staggered actually at the last one, just the range of stuff that was there. However, it's not just about this, is it? Because you've got, for example, you've got Compassion. They're bringing their new experience to you, aren't they? They're bringing their big truck. Yeah,
we're bringing a slum into Esher. And Esher is not the place where slums usually are put up.
You'll have the council on the phone, you know that. What you're going to do to real estate values in Esher, I don't know.
And we love that idea because it's sort of just a reminder to us all of how privileged we are, and the fact that Compassion are there to promote this trailer, which they then hope they will reach maybe 6,000 people. We're hoping for 6,000 over the 3 days, and many of those will say, can you bring that to our area? Can you bring that to our town? We would like to, have our gang.
You're not going to be able to get this into the hall, though, are you? I mean, it's a big lorry.
And we've been down to Sandown Park specifically to measure it out twice.
Right.
And what it does, it will sit just outside the hall next to the paddock where the horses go around. And we've measured it up, and it will slide in there very nicely.
I'm looking forward to seeing that because we had the guys from Compassion in just the other week, and they were talking about it because it is a project they're just getting going this summer, and it sounds fascinating. I'm really looking forward to having a look at that. So we'll be covering that on the show when we get down there. You've got Jonathan Vieira there as well.
He's a good mate, Jonathan.
Right. He will be performing, I trust, not just wandering around making tea.
He will indeed. And Jonathan has been a mate for many, many years, and we used to do music together. So it kind kind of goes back to the late 70s, early 80s, believe it or not.
Yes.
And Jonathan, I think, is one of those
How's
fabulous...
that possible when we're both only 25? Do you
Yes,
know what I
know.
mean? Yeah.
Well, it's Back to the Future, isn't it? You know, once you've got your DeLorean, there's all sorts of things you can do. But 25,000 gigawatts, great Scott! No, Jonathan is just a great mate and one of those guys who can sing to any audience because of his range,
Yes,
obviously opera, and also he can do a turn at Elton or Billy Joel or a Stevie Wonder, anything. And so for that audience in the afternoon when maybe they're kind of like they've seen everything they want to see, 3 hours of going around these stands, Jonathan will blow them away with an hour's entertainment.
Excellent.
He's wonderful.
Looking forward to that. I was going to brush off me Ness and Dorma, but you probably don't need me to now. I also know you've got some seminars happening, and Rachel Gardner, an old friend of the programme, and she's going to be there with a team considering a very specific topic, revival amongst young people.
Well, there's been a long talk, well, just recently, a couple of surveys done on the young and church and whether they self-identify as Christians or not, which has got big publicity in the national newspapers. And so and Youth for Christ, who are our sponsors of the Youth Zone. There's a Youth Zone, which is dedicated workshops and seminars for 3 days within a special zone. And Youth for Christ have done their own study, and there's a real sense of optimism about young people and the church. It's not as bleak as people might think. There is a real awareness and a hunger and an openness to the faith. And I think that's the exciting thing. And so Rachel will be covering that within what she talks about, but particularly Youth for Christ over the 3 days will be using that as a linchpin, their report on young people and the church.
I know you've got the Message Trust coming and taking part as well, various other things. There will be seminars on other stuff as well, an opportunity for people to do workshops and all the information to be found on the website, creonline.co.uk. But hey, look at you, getting all modern and up to date with your apps.
Apps even, yes. Put it on the app. Yes, even apps there specifically designed for churches. And in fact, that kind of brings me on to Museum of the Bible, which is this is our biggest exhibitor of the year this year. Museum of the Bible, which many of you will hear about shortly, but is a museum in Washington, D.C., which is the most incredible futuristic museum of the Bible, but interactive thing that will ever have seen. But they're bringing part of it over to CRE this year, and more specifically software that can be used to bring an interactive nature of the Bible to young people. I can't, on the radio, it's really difficult to explain. But it's stuff
loses something in translation,
it really
doesn't it?
does.
Yeah.
But all I can say is come and see how what they are patenting. They've taken out 40 different patents for software that hasn't been seen by the big tech guys, secular tech guys in America. They're patenting that. And we will see the way that can be used in your, if you like, your standard Sunday school group or youth group.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're going to be bringing that over and showing us Museum of the Bible. So if you're talking about technology, then just tune into Museum of the Bible at CRE.
Yeah. It's going to be a great do. It's going to be a great 3 days. Heartily recommend you make the effort to get down there if you want to be inspired for what your church can do, or indeed, as Steve was saying, come up with some of those Christmas presents that perhaps you won't find elsewhere. It's worth going to. We're going to be there as well on the Wednesday, broadcasting live. So if you are, come along and say hello to us. We're just outside the coffee. No, you don't have to buy me a donut. It's okay. Just come along and say hi. That'll be absolutely fine. But as well, just final thought before you go, I noticed that you have got Cliff and Mary Reid there, Cliff Marie Reid, who, I looked at their name and I thought, well, I know that name. Is it because of their gospel music? Is there? No, it's this game that they've done, isn't it? Which helps couples find out about each other. Are you sure you want us to do that?
Well, they sent me the card game to try out myself.
Have you yet?
No, I haven't yet got. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
It's called My Truth.
Yes.
And they're a lovely couple from Croydon.
They're great, yeah.
Musically great, and they'll be warming up what we're calling Cindy's Sofa, where Cindy Kent will be introducing various guests, and they'll be singing every day for 20 minutes, half an hour, and introducing their card game as well.
Excellent. We shall look forward to it. It's going to be good fun. Steve, thanks for taking the time to join us and come along and tell us about it today. As I said, you can find out everything by going to creonline.co.uk. Have a look at it. Have a think about it. You may well find your church benefits from you being involved. It may well be worth the effort of travelling the distance and finding out about CRE and the incredible range of resources that are available. Steve, great to see you. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Listen.